What is up, guys? Happy Friday. It's Friday morning.
Yes. Gorgeous Friday.
I want to ask you a question. What would you do? What would your response be if you were given a diagnosis of incurable cancer? This is episode number 2 of Storytellers. And I am here with one of my great friends, my mentor, and so many other titles I could think of. Joe Petersen.
We could make up a few.
We could make up a few. And that was your life years ago. And so tell us that story.
Well, thanks for asking. It actually still is my life. When that happens, I was blazing along, achieving, pursuing all the things we do, and then that occurs, and it changes everything. Obviously,
Yeah.
When now time becomes much more important. When you feel like there is a time bomb in you, you have no idea when it's going to go off.
Yeah.
And you can't diffuse it.
Wow.
So it builds a sense of urgency in everything you do, and a sense of importance in making certain you make the right selections.
Yeah.
It takes away all your complacency. Gosh, it sounds like everything I'm describing is a blessing, and it really is.
Yeah, sure.
It really is. So, it does change everything from that point forward.
So what I want to know, and I think what everybody watching would want to know, is how do you choose to find hope in something that I think the world would give you permission to find anger
Absolutely.
in, to find frustration from? How do you do that?
Absolutely. I think the key word you just used is choose. I could take a knife right now, stab it in your gut. Are you going to feel pain?
Yes.
Is that a choice?
No.
No, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you get to choose if you're going to suffer. Pain's inevitable. Suffering's a choice. Suffering is me wallowing in it. Suffering is me thinking, good grief, I can't do anything because I'm feeling this pain right now. Good. And just wanting to tell everybody about all my pain all the time.
Wow.
I want you to experience this suffering. It's constantly asking why. Why did this happen to me? What could I have done differently? Why is it so? Why did it do it? Why? And all of a sudden, God's going to grab you by the throat and say, quit asking me why. Do you not accept I'm sovereign?
Yeah.
Did I make a mistake here? No,
Yeah.
God doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah.
We don't need to know why. We need to trust and accept His sovereignty and say, okay, now I've got other choices. And the choice is I'm not going to waste time. The choice is I'm not going to be unintentional. I'm really going to focus on the most important things.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste a minute.
So I love that. I love. I'm gonna write a blog about that later today.
Okay, you can do it.
The choice, the difference between pain and suffering
Is
and
huge.
the choice that's there. So I think that's super powerful. But what would you say to the individual that's had an experience? Maybe it's not quite to the extent of, hey, you have an incurable cancer, but they lose a loved one, right? Something devastating happens. Is there an appropriate amount of time where you give yourself permission to kind of be a wallower to some degree, or is it, man, as fast as you can snap out of it? How do you kind of walk someone through that?
Boy, that's a great question. The natural reaction to any devastating news, whether it's about yourself or a loved one, you've lost a loved one.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a period of mourning. There's probably a period of anger, a period of questioning. You get to choose how long that period is. It's so interesting, though, when one of our friends is in pain, we're attracted to them because we want to empathize. We want to show our care.
Yeah.
When someone is experiencing pain and they choose to suffer, we're repelled from them because we don't want to get drawn in their suffering and their whining constantly. And so we don't want to cross that line between experiencing pain and choosing suffering.
Okay.
Because choosing suffering is, okay, I'm going to take everyone around me down too.
Okay.
I'm drowning. Let me grab as many people I can take underwater as well. And so, I mean, wouldn't that be awful?
Yeah.
If I'm carrying this pain so deeply that everyone around me gets sad because of my suffering, as
Oh my
opposed to
gosh.
everyone around me feel the same sense of urgency. Life is precious. We're not promised tomorrow. I'm going to spend more eye-to-eye time with my kids today. I'm going to tell my wife how much my love has deeply grown for her today.
Yeah.
Because I didn't tell her yesterday.
Yeah.
And she's got to know that. You know, to experience pain and share that with the friends around you, hopefully they benefit from the pain as well.
Yeah.
Without actually feeling it. But if I'm suffering, then I'm just drawing them all under. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. So what I hear you saying is it is okay to have that season of pain.
It's unavoidable.
But the key is not to let the suffering creep in and become really the underlying message of that season is woe is me, I'm just here to suffer, as opposed to I'm just experiencing real pain that I need help for, want to seek advice from.
Absolutely. The
Right.
woe is me and the suffering, it's all choice.
Yeah.
We want to take captive our thoughts. And every time I cross that line, I realize I'm living outside God's will.
Yeah.
God asked me to trust him. And I used to think the opposite of trust was not to trust.
Yeah,
But it's not.
right.
If I don't choose to trust God, I'm choosing to defy God. Think about that for a second. If I'm choosing trust or not trust, okay, it's about 50-50. Which one will I do today?
Right.
But if I realize, no, it's not trusting God, it's defying God. I choose to defy God today.
Yeah.
Who's going to make that choice? So obviously we always want to choose to trust God. And when we trust God, it makes suffering almost impossible.
Wow.
I trust him. I trust his sovereignty. God didn't make a mistake here. There's a reason behind this, and I'm going to live out that reason.
That's good. This morning I was looking at Facebook, and my dad put up a quote from Louis Giglio.
Okay.
Who, if y'all don't know, Louis Giglio is a famous pastor,
I'm just
speaker.
impressed you can pronounce his last name. I always have trouble with
I think as a former pastor, you get docked points if you
Okay.
can't pronounce other pastors'
I'm going
names.
to practice it. You did
But
good.
but he said, the quote said, "Fear
Uh-huh.
is putting faith in the enemy."
Yes, sir.
How powerful is that?
And 100% accurate.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, when we're worried, when we're stressed, when we're filled with fear, it's such a great trigger to think, okay, wait a second, I'm living outside God's will.
Yeah.
Because Christ died a criminal's death on the cross for me to fully accept
Yeah.
his peace. And I'm not at peace right now. So I'm living outside his will.
Yeah.
So
So what do you say, because like I know you really well, and I know you're an amazing human being, but you're imperfect like we all are, right? So how often does the fear side of a diagnosis creep in? And then in that moment, what have you discovered are the best tools for you to kind of get that going back in the right direction?
I operated on third grade level. So here's my third grade answer.
Okay.
The fear creeps in every 6 months when I'm back at the oncology office.
Okay.
Doing the test
Okay.
to see how close the bomb is to going off.
Yeah.
Or to see if it already has.
Yeah.
The way I handle the fear is I walk out of that office, get back in my car, and I get to go be Joe again.
Yeah.
And so far, each of those meetings have been great meetings.
Yeah.
Where the oncologist says, go out there and live your life, man, you're doing good.
Yeah.
But the fear does creep in when you're sitting there in the waiting room and you're seeing the other people who are in the middle of their battles. They're typically not happy people for
Yeah.
obvious reasons. And it's a reminder that, yeah, this is still going on.
Yeah.
But when you leave that office, you can get back into your world and into your life, and there's so many wonderful things happening. It's hard
Sure.
not to get enthusiastic about it.
And so how from how many years ago was the original diagnosis?
April 2012.
Okay, so what is that? Almost 7 years coming up this month in a couple days.
It was 6 years ago, 2 days ago, that I finished my stem cell transplant.
Oh wow.
And that was a big turning point for us.
Okay.
So yeah, just April 3rd, 6 years ago.
And so how has all of this in the last 6 years reshaped the way that you just see people?
Ooh, gosh. Okay, my entire career has been that of a real estate developer.
Yeah.
And that was up until the diagnosis. And so great architecture, big buildings, big projects,
Yeah.
long resume, buildings across the country. That was what I thought about. And going through all my treatments, 26 treatments, I had a chance to be still and know he's God. Be still and really think about what's important to me.
Yeah.
And I realized, the structures and the pictures and the buildings weren't at all what I was proud of. And what I really remembered, what it was, were the relationships. And so today I've made a transition from that industry, some for obvious reasons. If you don't have a long-term prognosis, it's difficult to be involved in long-term big projects.
Sure.
But today I get to spend 100% of my time building and maintaining relationships each day. And that's such a wonderful transition. It's like I was able to wipe out all the noise and really focus on the core.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'm a much more intentional person. Hopefully I don't waste any time. There's a sense of urgency that I think is really healthy.
Yeah.
And I've lost the ability to be complacent about things.
Yeah. What blows my mind about being around you is I feel like I've never heard you use a wasted word, right? To that intent, you're so intentional. I feel like there's so many people in my life that we can just go have coffee with, and it's like, man, how's the kids? How's man, you see the Rangers? Like, and it's like we're there, we're invested, but everything's just on the surface, and there's really no substance to a lot of those relationships. And so I'm always encouraged to be around you because everything is with such intentionality.
That was such a nice way to say I'm too direct and I'm too intense. But that was very kind to say that.
Well, and I think that leads us into really what I want you to be able to share next is, God has a reason for everything. And I was actually reading my devotional this morning, and it was talking about how the man talking, his wife lost her brother at 34 years old to an illness. And the whole principle of the devotion was that oftentimes it's in the unanswered prayer that God gets the most glory. And they were telling a story of all the people that came to know Christ because of the death of the brother. And so the husband asked the wife, if you could go back and do it all over again, would you wish that your brother remained alive? And her answer was no, because of all the things that God did.
Oh, absolutely.
And
such
so,
a tough question, though.
Oh, for sure. And one that you hope you never have to come face to face with. And so through all of this, there's been tons of pain, there's been tons of triumph, but ultimately, like, that led you to the opportunity to find why we're in this room right now. Right? And so tell us where we are, what this is about. I know my audience has heard me talk about it a little bit, but they've never heard you talk about it.
Okay.
And so let people know, like, what we do here, why we're here, and all that.
Okay. First, let me dig a little bit deeper in one thing you said. You started out by saying God has a reason for everything.
Yep.
And that's of course totally true. It's also the last thing someone wants to hear when you're trying to comfort them. As a society, for some reason, we are so messed up when somebody is suffering, when someone does have something they're experiencing, a cancer diagnosis, a lost loved one, they're in the middle of a dark time. For some reason, as a society, we want to cheer them up. We want to help them get out of it. You sit with a buddy who lost his wife a year ago to a sudden death, and he doesn't look real happy. You say, what's going on? He said, well, I've lost my wife. Like, is it still that? I mean, no, we don't get over it. We go changed. And when people say, well, just you ought to know God has a reason for everything, it's the last thing you want to hear.
Yeah.
What we want to hear is empathy.
Yeah.
And care. And for you to just show that you understand the level of sorrow we're experiencing and not try to fix it. And so I've really learned so much through going through what I have, maybe how to respond to people that are also going through some difficult times.
So for all the men, every man that's watching this right now, quit trying to fix stuff.
Just
listen.
Just be with me.
Every wife is like, praise the Lord, amen. I love Joe and Kyle. Yeah, that's so true. The moment Lana opens her mouth, I'm like, what tool do I need? What do I need? How do let me do? Right,
and we do that to people who are experiencing sorrow.
Yeah.
There's a reason that God took your child from you in the pool, drowning this afternoon. That's not what they want to hear.
No.
They want you to experience their sorrow and share it with them, and
Yeah.
just show the depth of your friendship and love.
Yeah.
And stop there.
Absolutely.
There's nothing you can say is going to make them feel better.
No. So good.
It's not your job.
So good.
So anyway, as far as what we do now,
Yeah.
In 2009, in my development company, we'd come out of a recession, 2008 or 2008, a really difficult time. 2009, we're starting to come out of it. Banks are lending again, and we have a pretty good platform to build our company. But it still felt incomplete. It's like there was supposed to be something more.
Yeah.
And I got an invitation to come visit a group called the C12 Group. As a group of Christian business owners. They didn't run Christian businesses. They didn't all open Christian bookstores.
Right.
But they were Christians who were in business.
Yes.
And I sat at that table, and it was just the most diverse cast of characters you ever saw. Almost every industry was different in the room. And they talked about how, the thing that drew them together is they all believed Christ owns everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I believe that too. And then they took it further. They said, okay, well, if he owns everything, that means he owns our business. And it's like, yeah. And if he owns our business, he wants us to do it his way.
Right.
And okay, so now you're getting deeper. Okay, wait a minute. No, I'm doing it the way I know how in the market. And well, there may be some differences. And as I listened to it that day, I thought, okay, that's great, but it probably doesn't apply to me because I'm in construction. And construction development is a dog-eat-dog world out there.
Right.
The toughest dog wins. In your restaurant business, that applies, but no, not really with me. But over the course of time, they showed me that, of course, it equally applies to my industry.
Yeah.
And through that process, they accepted me as a member. So each month I'm coming back and working with these business owners as we're helping each other and holding each other accountable. Through that process, I changed completely. My company changed completely. The focus of our company changed completely. And all of a sudden, it wasn't like anything was missing. All of a sudden, we're firing on all cylinders. So when I got my diagnosis, certainly that affected the development company, but it also gave me the opportunity to invest more fully in C12.
Yeah.
And so now, owning the company, I get the opportunity every day to bring together business owners from across the Metroplex. Some of them operating some of the most large and best respected companies in the Metroplex, where we come together once a month as a board in groups of 12 to learn best business practices, to have our biggest questions answered, to have our biggest answers questioned, to hold each other accountable, to be transparent in a way that we can't be outside that room, knowing that there's a trust between us, there's a confidentiality between us, because our goal is not to do it alone. And so, I know how to grow a business this size, but to grow it here, I've got to grow myself.
Yeah.
And taking a seminar or reading a great book helps. But coming in that room once a month and working with other CEOs that have fought the same battles I'm fighting or fought battles I haven't even encountered yet, I'm going to grow.
Yeah.
The second reason guys come is, I operate a God-honoring company, meaning I try to do the right thing. I use character, ethics, morals, and my decisions each day. Well, I could also make me a Marine as opposed to a God-honoring company. I want to build a platform for ministry. As a company owner, I've got so much influence. I sign people's paychecks. Lots of money flows, and so I have a lot of influence. How do I use that influence to show Christ's faith, hope, love, joy, peace each day? Whether it's with my employees, with my customers, with my vendors, even with people I interview and don't end up hiring. God brings me people and gives me influence with them for a reason. I don't want to miss an opportunity to use that influence to glorify him.
Right.
And then the third reason is a much more personal one. Let's say I'm a Christ follower. I want to be Paul. I don't want to be controlled each day by my circumstances. I don't want to have a bad day.
Yeah.
I don't want to move forward myself without seeking his will, having the patience to wait on his will, having the ability to discern his will. And so, those three reasons, I think everybody is in the room for one of those, maybe for a combination of those.
Yeah.
But to be able to bring business owners together who are out there fighting each day, they call themselves business owners, but in so many cases, the businesses own them.
Yeah.
And so to help them bring balance back into their life, it's an incredible ministry.
Yeah. And so I'm in it for my business.
Yes, sir.
Right. And then my dad is in it for their roofing company. And, just speaking for me, for anybody watching that you think, man, is this a good fit for me? I didn't know why I was coming, other than I wanted to be surrounded by men and women who had gone further than me, and that I knew were believers. And so I felt like I could trust their discernment. And every time they chose to speak a word into my life around that table, that because I know that our hearts are in the same place, we instantly cross over several barriers, right? Of wondering, what the motive is, right? There's just so many games that are played in the business world, and we don't play games around that table. And I'm pointing on.
That's a great way to say it.
And so I think that was it for me. I'm sure other people, they literally knew exactly why they were coming in.
Absolutely.
And so for anybody watching, men, women, this is a powerful organization it's nationwide.
Yes,
right.
sir.
So how many members do we have across the country, roughly?
We're probably bumping on 3,000 now.
So almost
we're just
3,000.
getting started.
And here's the beauty of this. This isn't just 3,000 individuals. This is 3,000 individuals that represent thousands and thousands of people. Because this is the CEO.
Yep.
Right? So it's incredible.
A huge influence.
So
we're almost at 20 minutes. We need to wrap it up. Let me give you one closing thought.
All right.
I grew up watching this show called Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom. It was a Sunday night show. It was great. And what we always saw in that is when the zebra got alone, lions had lunch, right?
Yep.
And as business owners, it's pretty lonely out there.
Yeah.
And you say, now I'm a Christian business owner, that's even a more exclusive club. It's really lonely.
Yeah.
And Satan loves it when we're isolated and alone. But when we come together, when the zebras come together and herd, they're trampling the lions. And that's what we're trying to do with our business owners.
Yep.
Let's come together. Let's learn more. Let's support each other. Let's not be isolated because the task is too important.
That's good.
The job's too big.
That's good. And so I want to end like this. Other than, Joe, thank you for being on episode number 2.
Number 2.
When we're on episode 1,000, we're going to look back and go, man, you remember episode number 2?
Absolutely.
We probably won't, but we'll say it. Guys, I want to end it with this thought. So you've just watched the authentic joy come out of a man who 6 years ago was diagnosed with incurable cancer, that at any moment could choose to show back up, yet he chooses to find joy. So my question that I want you to consider and really ponder the rest of today is, what are you allowing to fill your mind that is unnecessary? What are you allowing yourself to find sorrow in, and to find self-pity in, and to find not just the pain but the suffering? And how are you going to fix it? Because that's really the key, is moving from suffering into succeeding, right?
It's a loud, noisy, busy world.
That's right.
And we put limits on ourselves so often, and we live under those limits, and we forget Christ has such an adventure planned for us.
Amen.
And He is unlimited. Even the impossible is His reality.
Yep.
So how do we take those limits off and live today the adventure He's planned for us?
That's right. Amen.
Let's go.
See you guys later. And now I'm going to pause for a minute so I can edit the video.
Perfect.
And not be reaching out to touch the finish button. So appreciate you guys. Have a great Friday. Bye.